I am currently at Lakewood High School in Hebron, Ohio, Ohio. I almost said North Carolina. We are a really, and Nick can attest to this, we are a really small school that is trying to find our way to develop a winning tradition with little to no help within the hallways. There's not a lot of athletes at our school. My first year at Lakewood, we had 16 varsity players and 15 JV players. We lined all 31 of them up on a Friday night to make it look like we were doing something, or at least had some people that could go in. Last year, we went from 31 to 42 players. Currently, if we were going to play tomorrow, we have 52 kids on our roster. So we're going in the right direction, but we have a long way to go. But that's a premise for a lot of the ideas that I think I'll be talking about today. There's my information. You can get that from me later if you need it, or you want it after this. So, and Coach alluded to my tenure down in North Carolina. I was very blessed with a lot of great programs. I just happened to walk into the right doors. From Clayton High School, we were 13-2 my first year down there on the varsity level, even though I was just in the box. And then a great tradition, Millbrook High School, powerhouse down there most years, and Northern Durham as well. East Wake, I got a chance to be a head coach and rebuild that program. Left, and they've struggled since then, not because of me, because of realignments down there. And if you know anything about North Carolina, they're always realigning. So you don't know who you're going to be playing year in and year out. And I did one year in Alaska to coach my son in middle school. And then moved to Ohio, and here we are. As Coach said, we're looking at multiple blocking schemes to keep the base run alive. Our base run is counter. I've been living on counter for about 13 years now. It's our horse. We ride it until it's the clock's gone, and we're going to find every way we can to keep that play alive for us. The reason that we have a lot of variations is because we think it allows us to have quick adjustments. And with 16 kids on the varsity my first year, you're not talking to your kids. They're always on the field, because if you guys, you have 16 on the roster, there's probably at least 4 or 5 of those kids that probably shouldn't play football, but they're out there giving us everything they got. And we're pleased they're there, but we're not going to get a lot out of them. So your 11 guys are on the field almost every play. And you throw a couple of JVs out there on special teams to give you guys a little bit of water break, but you're not talking to them. So everything's got to be, rehearsed ahead of time, so we can just say, hey, we want to do this now. We want to do this now within our line calls to adjust to the blocking. So there's not a lot of halftime adjustments. It allows us to take advantage of the strengths of our offensive line and protect our weaknesses. If we've got a kid that we know is gonna just wear someone out all night long, we don't need to stay in a combo in a traditional counter blocking scheme. So we'll just go wing T-ish. I had a wing T background in North Carolina, so we'll go wing T and down gap backer on the front side, as much as we can if we think we have the personnel on that Friday night to do that, and we'll kick and climb from the backside coming across, but we won't stay in a true combo if we don't need to. And And if you've heard Coach Salas talk about combos, we like, when we do combo, we don't like to come off early. We like to stay on it and drive them and try to wash the linebackers out if we can. Now, if we're getting, some pressure from linebackers that are flowing fast or backdooring us, we'll come off faster and we'll talk. And that's one of the things that we do with our quick communication through practice. With our limited staff and limited players, communication is a huge problem that we've got to take care of. We had a really short half. Those of you guys in Ohio that might be my audience today, I don't know when. No one told me we had a 10-minute half. I'm like, when that first game came around, I'm like, why are we only sitting here with 10 minutes? And then, small program, we're sharing players. Coaches griping about this, coaches griping about that. You eat 4 minutes off the clock, so now the defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator are sharing 6 minutes to talk to their athletes, trying to get them back on the field for the second half. So we've got to do as much up front as possible. And the other thing is we're a real heavy RPO team. Stick is one of my favorites. And last year, we had a 6'4", 6'5", prototypical quarterback that could see over the line and make the reads. This year we had a really short quarterback, very athletic kid, but he wasn't able to make those reads. So we had to adjust our blocking a little bit to try to protect his line of sight and not get a lot of pressure. He was a one-year quarterback playing as a senior because we didn't have anybody else that was willing or able to play the position. So we're in a position where we've got to try to do everything up front to put ourselves in a position to communicate quickly, get a good adjustment, and practice it a lot ahead of time. And how we do that, we don't overload our playbook. That's the biggest thing I think anybody needs to do. Doesn't matter what system you're in or how loaded you are. I think as coaches, we get so caught up in everybody else's playbook, especially on Saturday and Sunday. And it's a great play, but does it really contribute to your playbook? Does it really work with your personnel? And in most cases, we're struggling to find plays that work with what we have already. So we're not gonna introduce new ideas all the time, and even when they look good on Saturday and Sunday, or even the other team that we're playing. They may be able to run it against our next opponent, but it doesn't mean we can. And the inside period is where we get most of this work for 10 minutes. We do not sit there on an inside period and say, hey, we want to see exactly what we saw on film. On Sunday's meeting and Saturday's meeting, we're not going to sit there and go, hey, they're always in a 3 in a shade, and they're never in this, they're never in that. I tell my defensive line coach who's helping the scout team, just throw every variation of a 4-man front that we've seen, or every 3-man front that we've seen, so that we get used to the communication piece throughout the week with our line calls, and we can see if we're all on the same page. Now, a lot of the times I tell them this is what we call it, and then they come up with generic terms that are related to their personalities. So even if I, call it something, when they're communicating in a game, I'll listen to them, and I may not even know what the hell they just called, because it doesn't have anything to do with what the call is, but they've built that relationship between them where they can communicate and make things work. The RPO period is another period that we use for this, because with the stick, we found ourselves with the new emphasis this year, which I don't think really was, of linemen downfield, and a quarterback that didn't have the line of sight that I've had in the past. That we really thought, well, we've got to keep that backside tackle at home when we're running stick to protect him from that 5 technique and to give him that line of sight on that linebacker, whichever one we're reading to do, to throw the stick off of. But if we're running bubble and now screens off of the RPO, we don't have to worry about that 5 technique. We can run our traditional blocking. So we use that 10-minute period to work those variations as well. And just to throw this out there, team period is when we focus on our opponent and what we've seen on film. But inside zone or inside run period and RPO period, we're focusing on the variations that we could see. And for that matter, I think 4 times this year we lined up on Friday night against a different team than we saw on film. They were a 3-4 team, but now tonight they're a 4-2. They're a 4-2 tonight. They're a 3-3 stack. So we had a lot of issues this year where the team came out that we were playing and they decided to run a different defense than we saw on film and their traditional fronts from any time that we've played them in the past. Okay, so and I don't know what's going on with the screen, but we'll keep going ahead. This is our base blocking. It's no surprise to anybody. The only difference here might be, are you climbing to the front side linebacker or the backside linebacker? But we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna try to wash this front side 3 technique vertical and stay on him and try to make this linebacker have to bounce over top of us instead of coming off of this block as much as possible. Our center was really good at blocking back, and we're going to get the kick and climb from the backside guard, kicking the backside tackle, wrapping. We would have some type of RPO on the backside. We may be running mirrored RPOs. We may be running an RPO on the backside and double hitches on the front side. It all is in that, for that matter, that's what our quarterback can handle. And this year, our quarterback was so raw, and it's a quarterback-driven offense, but he could not handle all the variations and all the variables mentally to focus on. Am I getting a now screen on the backside, and am I getting hitches on the front side? So we just mirrored at the end of the year. We took that variation off of his plate because he wasn't handling it. So you may see some film where we're doing different things on front and back side. That could be last year's film, or it could be early this year's film. But we got away from that because he wasn't handling it very well. Now, the first thing that we will do, and this is I think anybody has done this in the past, but if we get a linebacker walking up, if this linebacker decided he wanted to walk up in this A gap, you're getting an uno, a solo call, something that's telling this tackle that you can't help him at the guard position because you have someone threatening your gap. So we've used uno, solo, and other variations of calls to alert him to that. I may tell them that we're going to uno front side for this Friday night because whoever this 3 technique is not going to get it done. We know that we have an advantage here, so we're going to down block on this guy all night long and drive him, and we're going to let this tackle or this guard have a good run at this backside linebacker and get him early instead of having to come off of that combo. Now for RPOing, we would tell that guy to stay on this, more traditional combo where he's going to hit and then climb to allow the downfield RPO to take place. Now, if we're doing a now screen or a bubble screen, he's climbing right now because we know the throw is going to be behind the line of scrimmage. So that's one variation that we will do in order to take advantage of our personnel versus someone else's personnel. Now, if this guy's a horse, if this 3 technique's a horse, we're staying on him and we're getting as much out of this combo as we can to try to create space on this. Okay, on if we had an underfront, you know, this is not my personal favorite way to block this. I know if you're a lot of people, including, you know, friends of mine that run this, you know, down in North Carolina, that just, they're like, oh, hey, your center can make this, your center can block back on this three technique. It's a block he should be able to make. Well, I've had centers that couldn't make that block. They were shoulders. They weren't very agile. I was lucky for them to block people in the A gap. I know they're not going to go get the three technique, and they sure as heck won't get that 4-eye. But this is how we would try to block it if we know that we have a center, which I had this the last 2 years at Lakewood, at a pretty good center. You know, he's been offered D2 scholarships, so he's fairly athletic, but you know, he could go make that block. But there are times when we're playing teams like, you know, Licking Valley, where they've got a kid that just shoots the gap, and there's no way we're getting back there. We may, if he was lined up on us, it would be a good battle. But if he's that far away, this guy's too quick for us to make that block. So now we would go to, you know, a dart. If you've heard me talk before, you know, I really like the dart off of this. At least that's what we called it in North Carolina. Tackle trap is another, you know, way of calling it. But so if we get a dart call from the center's a communicator. We get a dart call from the center. This guard knows he's blocking back on this three technique, and we're going to get a combo to the backside from the center and the front side guard here. And we'll play games with this front side 5, depending on his ability level, what he likes to do versus what this tackle is capable of doing. We made a really big mistake in my mind this year with our right tackle, asking him to go get linebackers. About halfway through the season, his right knee was just on fire, and we didn't adjust fast enough to his ability and limit his going to get linebackers instead of just blocking someone that's on him. So if we have an advantage here based on technique or personnel, we'll block out. Same thing, you know, if we have a linebacker walk up here, we'll block down, and that tackle will kick the 5 instead of wrapping up. This is how we prefer to run it, because our tackle is used to the wrap. So we want to keep his block is as similar, you know, as much as possible. And we all base block, so this is not a big deal for the tackle in most cases. So this is how we'll run our dart to keep the counter going. If they want to run an underfront to try to mess with our blocking, or or we could run QB counter back to the 3 technique if we really wanted to. Now, this is what I was talking about here. We don't have to wait for this linebacker to walk up in order for us to go get him. If this guy's a climber, if he likes to go flying upfield and get himself in harm's way, then we're not gonna base him. We're gonna go ahead and climb here, get on that linebacker, and let the tackle take him late, you know, and get up underneath him anyway. So we're not gonna base block that guy all the time in that case, especially if this linebacker on that particular Friday night is someone that even from 5 yards loves to trigger. We want to go ahead and get that tackle on him early instead of having a kick and a trap in the hole. We want to go ahead and take that linebacker now and take that 5 technique and get up underneath it. And we're still blocking back on that 3 technique with the guard with that dart call. And this is just if we had an Uno again with the dart call, you know, we get a linebacker pressing that backside A. The center's got to let this guard know that he's not going to get any help because the linebackers already showed themselves. And I try to preach to my offensive line that this is a welcome situation. a lot of offensive linemen start panicking when linebackers step up. And when I played offensive line, I just felt like you just brought yourself into my world, and I'm about to whip you. At 5 yards, you have the advantage because I'm in space. Okay, but when you walk up 1.5 yards off, or you're right on the line of scrimmage, you're in my world now. And I try to preach to my offensive linemen, you've got to have that mentality that you just entered the wrong house. This is my house. I'm about to whip you because you came through the wrong front door. At 5 yards, now he has the athletic advantage on most Friday nights. But if we did have that linebacker stepping up, heavy blitz team, we would call dart because we want to get to this guy and not trap him in the hole. So we'll just tackle trap that 5 technique, whether he's a climber or a squeezer, doesn't matter. We're going to go ahead and get up to that second level and root that 5 technique out. And here's one thing that I don't know that a lot of people are doing. In fact, I didn't do it until last year, and I didn't do it a lot last year. Did it a lot more this year, and that was pull my center. And we called it a concrete call, based on an ice cream drink. They came up with that on their own. So whatever, it doesn't matter what the call or it comes from, as long as they're on the same page. But the center is going to pull on the concrete. So he's going to call concrete to let that guard know, just like on dart, you're blocking back. Okay, but we're still trying to keep the center in that block. So he's gonna kick here. And I don't know why I drew this up this way. This tackle would still pull and fold up here. So forget that right there. So this tackle would pull and fold up onto this front side linebacker, but we're going to pull to kick that 4 technique or 5 technique on the front side with the center. We won't do that a lot, especially in a 4-man front. If we were going to do this as it's drawn up, it's going to be more because we're trying to run a stick behind this linebacker right here, and we want to keep that 5 technique blocked instead of leaving him alone. And what we would do there, and I'll show it to you later, is we would actually lead with this running back and run the quarterback through on the counter. And I'll get to that one in just a second so you can see that. But this is more a 3-man call for us because of the 4 eyes. I used to run a 3-4 down in North Carolina when I was the head coach. That's one of the defenses, the defense that we ran, and we love to run 4 eyes to protect those linebackers and mess with people's blocking. So one of the things that we decided, this was a good time for us to concrete. We don't need a combo. We don't need a combo here to backside linebacker. We're gonna down block here. We're gonna kick this ghost that's walked up here. We're gonna down block on this 4-eye here, and we're gonna wrap up on that front side linebacker and play games with this guy right here. We will run a lot of stick versus this front, to really put pressure on this linebacker. Do you want to be a run supporter? Do you want to be a pass support? And our quarterback has got a great line of vision on that with that clean line of sight right here. So even if he triggers, we're running a stick behind this. The safety would have to be the guy making that play, or this ghost riding him through, and then we would have a square in, a 5-yard square, and trying to take advantage of this guy leaving that space and that safety playing too high. So those are some things that we would do out of that front. Now, the other thing is using the H counter. We were not blessed with a great H situation this year. We didn't have really ISO was there all day as it is on a lot of Friday nights, but we didn't have a running back that was willing to man up and block for anybody. They didn't mind running the ball, but they sure as hell didn't want to block. And, you know, unfortunately, we don't have a stable that's deep enough for us to say, well, if you're not blocking, you're not running. So, we tried to figure out other ways by putting offensive linemen in this position, tight ends, even the guys that we thought we could count on were not very good for us in this role. So we didn't run it very much this year, even though it is a great concept, and I'm sure a lot of you guys run it. But we're gonna block back on this guy. Again, this is another way of us getting our stick in. So we can block back on this backside 5. We can run our stick, and we still have the kick and the climb in our counter that we really want to have. You do bring someone else into the box, and that's what a lot of air raid guys can't stand, is another guy in the box. But sometimes you got to look at it, well, the guy's already in the box. So it doesn't matter whether you bring one in or not. They're already outmanning you anyway, especially at Lakewood, where our receivers aren't good enough to eliminate people from the box. A lot of people will man us up or at least play 2-man, and their athletes are better than ours. So they've already decided that they've won that matchup, and they'll introduce other people to the box to try to help on our counter. Okay, so here's what I was talking about earlier. And this is one of the things, you won't see this on film. We did this down in North Carolina quite a bit. We ran a lot of follow. And this is a little bit of variation. When we ran follow down in North Carolina, again, we had a really good quarterback that was able to make really good players miss. He threw for 2,500 yards, the last quarterback that I had at East Wake down in North Carolina, and he ran for almost 1,000. He was very elusive. Played at North Fork State. And most of the quarterbacks I had down in North Carolina were the same caliber athlete. I was blessed with a lot of Division I quarterbacks down there, and they weren't throwing quarterbacks; they were dual threat quarterbacks. So we were able to do a lot of this stuff and make people miss, even when it wasn't the perfect call. So, but at Lakewood, we're going to have to keep this guy back and block that 5 technique and let this guy be the lone lead. We used to bring this guy around and fold up and introduce the running back into that hole, and that guy would sit and wait because he was afraid to commit, because as soon as he committed, our quarterback was out the back door and up the sideline. We don't have that luxury at Lakewood, so now we've got to account for this guy. So we're not really losing out, because now we've got the block here. We're putting pressure on this linebacker. We still have the stick read that we want. If he commits to the run, we're throwing it right behind him. If he commits to staying on the pass, we're folding up, and we've got numbers advantage on front side. So those are the things that wanted to show you on, and I hope I didn't go too fast, but I know it's limited time. But those are some of the things I wanted to show you on the board anyway. And then I want to get to, you can see that my backside guard is not the most explosive guy here. He trots instead of firing out, and he's not trying to run anybody over. He gets better as the year goes on, but he still keeps 77 out of there. We climb and get to the linebacker, but this is just your traditional counter. No real variations there. We're gonna combo that, and you see we're not coming off of that combo. We're trying to stay on him. He spins out, but we're not looking to climb real fast there. I'm not going to show you the end zone view there, but again, and I told you that this right tackle he's not exactly on on 2 legs right now. He's on 1.5, and you can see him galloping. But still, just the concept of the play, we're getting the wash down that we want there on front side. Okay, front side guard needs to do a better job of getting to that linebacker, but he gets on him enough. Get up underneath it. You know, explosive play against a team that was fairly limited athletically versus us, and we're not gifted. So that's saying a lot, you know, when you're talking about personnel. So this is just again another base blocking of our counter. I didn't know we had this much on against them. Get a little good cut back there. He gets walked, unfortunately. Our fastest guy on our team last year was running a 4.940. So that tells you a lot about our speed. You know, we were not fast. We had a few 4.9s, but no one was running over that. Try to get this thing out of my way. Okay. I swear this thing is always in my line of sight. So here you see we're running our concrete. We're getting the centers pulling front side on the kick. Tackles coming up in the hole. Okay, we have an advantage over this group here. You know, our center has at least this year. Next year will be a completely different story. Our center is telling this guard, you know, I can't get back to this guy, even though I know he could have athletically done it. But he wants, you know, unfortunately, you give somebody a toy and then he likes to play with it. And our center got to the point where he really liked to call his own number and pull when he was allowed to. So he's telling this guard block back. You know, we're going to be reading this 5 technique. Okay, we're blocking down on this heavy shade. Okay, and we should be climbing to that front side linebacker. We should be going to backside linebacker here. So anytime we're running a dart concept, we're not going to backside. We should be going to front side linebacker. But I know a lot of times that's not exactly who we end up getting because of blitzes and things of that nature. But we just happen to there, and the backside linebacker gets, you know, washed up a little bit, and he's slow as hell. Again, Trace is calling his own number, calling for the concrete, even though it's a 4-man front. He's pulling out. He's not hammering that guy the way I would want him to. I mean, he's a D2, you know, he'll sign a D2 scholarship, so they're going to do a lot of work with him. You know, 4 years ago, he could barely run. Now he's signing a Division II scholarship. So he's made a lot of gains over 4 years. So expect a lot of growth of him in college as well. He's 6'5", so I don't know if he'll be playing center or not, but get a good contact there from front side guard. Didn't get his head across and still the penetration the way I want, but still not bad. Okay. And this tackle, you know, I've talked to you about his galloping, but he should actually be, since we have a dart concept, so when we call concrete or dart, this tackle should be going here and not there. You know, so, but he ends up doing much of nothing, but the play still goes. Now here's Licking Valley. You know, they were state play champ or state runners up last year. This year they had a good run again. I think they only lost 2 games. You know, so they've got some really talented kids here. You know, Trace again. You know, like I said, he got a toy. Now he's playing with it. You know, this 3 technique is not that far away from him that Trace couldn't have blocked back. But in retrospect, he's the better athlete than my guard is. If you've seen that on film, you should already know that. So this is definitely something I'm not going to, you know, I didn't tell, obviously he keeps doing it, so I didn't tell him to stop because he actually makes the block where my backside guard here on my left guard is more prone to, you know, seeing the guy and getting his hands on him instead of having any type of real collision. So I don't mind this at all, but I would rather have a guard in this situation where we have a 3 technique that's not someone that's just shooting off the ball and someone that's penetrating that we can't get back to. Okay. So if your center is able to get back to that 3 technique, that's definitely the way to go. But if you have an athletic disadvantage, then, you know, call the dart and get the combo here. I'd rather see the combo here to backside than what he's calling it, which he's calling a concrete. So I'd rather have that combo here, especially against Licking Valley, where they may not be the biggest defensive line, but they are sound. They come off the ball and they just pin the ears back and try to blow you up. So, you know, if I were going to be the center here, I would have called for a dart and kept the combo here on the front side to backside backer and had this guard come kick the 5, okay, and told this tackle right here, go get that linebacker right now. And we may have had more room for this run than what we have here in this case. It's a really tight hole. We still get 5 or 6 yards out of it, but just looking at what we could have had versus what we got. And we had, our quarterback was fairly athletic, good runner. Unfortunately, he had turnover issues, but he did run the ball fairly hard for us. And here's the dart, I believe. I don't think nope. He called the concrete again. So again, I would rather have the dart in this situation, unless this guy's we get a good, I guess he was a 3 on that side. So we get a good combo here to backside, even though he doesn't get blocked, he gets washed, has to run flat instead of downhill. So we get a good movement. We get good movement on the front side, okay, and you know, my backside tackle does a good job getting there, but he's not staying on his block. Obviously, those things, you know, add yardage to the play. You know, Trace does a good job of washing that guy up, even though he sees him early. I wish I could say we did that all night long, but it didn't happen that way. And just a base counter here against a team that really exploded in the late season, especially playoffs. They actually were beating Licking Valley in the second or third round up until the last second of the game, I believe it was. Even though they started off really bad, they ended up having a good run, and they pounded us offensively. You know, we didn't see the ball very much that night, and when we did, we turned it over. I think we started the game with 2 fumbles and a pick 6 on our first 3 drives against this team. You know, another, just offensive line guys, you're probably thinking this guard has got to press the line and get underneath. This 5, he's getting too flat. He's allowing the guy to cross his face. I don't know how many guys you're seeing wrong arming. We don't see a lot of wrong arm, but hell, they don't have to here because we're allowing it to happen. We've got to get back into the line of scrimmage, and make this guy work to make this play. We just happened to get a little bump here, drop here, and the running back got through the trash. I think if he cuts that thing back against the grain there, he's running up the middle of the field. Still got a good surge on a 3rd and long here. We're playing field position, which we don't play a lot. We had a hell of a punter, but would rather be playing for first downs than field position. Got double A's here. Wash them down. And that's the one thing that we practice in, all the time is, we've seen so many different fronts, especially, I don't know if any of you guys have played Licking Heights. They haven't won a lot of games the last couple of years, but they have some really talented, personnel, and they will line up in any front in the world. So, we practice against, crazy crap, just so our offensive line have to communicate and figure the puzzle out during inside run. So, not that double A's is a big thing, but we'll see teams bounce into to double threes and try to plug with the linebackers, and the linemen have got to communicate and solve that puzzle on the fly. We don't run as fast an offense as I did in North Carolina because we don't have the personnel to run into the ground. So if we're trying to run anybody to the ground, we're going to run ourselves into the ground. So we play a lot more methodical than I really want to, but just asking them to solve the puzzle and get things done in practice allows them to adjust to fronts that we don't see every day. I'm going to try to get to something that may be, something we haven't seen yet. And we had our moments where we did things really well, but our biggest problem was turnovers this year, with a quarterback that had never played quarterback just happened to be an athlete that was willing to take the pounding. He's probably a division, I will say D3 receiver, but he decided to help the team out instead of himself out, and took the ball, and he got ridiculed all the time because of turnovers, but no one else was willing to take the ball, and he stood up and did it. So kudos to him to put potential college prospects in the back seat, put the team first. me see where I'm. Again, just a little eye candy. I think we all know how that works with the linebackers, telling them, keep your eyes on your line reads, and going back to that, the line reads. The one thing that I do like about the concrete is it screws with those line reads. Your linebackers aren't accustomed to reading that center pulling, so there's times when I watch film and you see the linebackers reacting to the guards, thinking that down block means this, or that that base block on the backside means that, they're taking steps in the wrong direction, but we're running counter with not any true counter action in the backfield all the time, or most of the time for that matter. But we still get wrong steps because we're pulling that center. If you're willing to do that like I am and run sticks behind that backside linebacker and tell him, well, if you feel I'm throwing right behind you, I think it's something that you might want to think about doing. I had my reservations initially as well, but once I saw that it's still, this linebacker has got to make that play. He's got to be coming like a banshee to get to my quarterback before we get to that sticks, behind him for that center, that backside A being open to make us feel like we're that vulnerable that we can't do it. So he's got to time that thing up perfectly. And we're not doing that center pull all the time, so they don't know when we're doing it unless they catch on to our terminology up front. But I tell my offensive linemen all the time this as well, is you've got to communicate false calls as much as you can, so the offensive line isn't giving the defensive line a tell. So we try and we practice that in practice as well. And I try to listen to them as much as possible to see if they're making the line calls. If they're not, if I hear them calling concrete, if that's the call, and it was for us last year, if I hear them calling concrete every time we do it, I'm going to ride them hard. They've got to understand that I've got to hear that call when we're running sprint game to the right or sprint game to the left, when that call has absolutely nothing to do with what we're doing. So the defensive line isn't honing in on when it's going to happen. So that's another big thing. If you're going to talk a lot up front and give your offensive line the ability to manipulate the blocking schemes the way we do, then you've got to teach them to give false information out as much as possible, so that there isn't a tell. They don't know when we're going to run dart. They don't know when we're going to run concrete. They don't know when we're going to run our base blocking, and unless we just say it every time it's going to happen. So we try to stay away from that as much as possible in practice, so that it shows up on Friday night just like anything else. I'm trying. All right, so we got a 3-man front here. I wanted to get this 3-man front just to see it. Now, traces out, he folds up. We got the tackle blocking this 5 technique, and the reason we did that, it was because of his legs. We didn't want him chasing linebackers because he wasn't able to do that. But if he could get on someone early, we felt like we had a chance to at least keep him on the field. He was one of our senior leaders. He was actually all second team all conference last year. He didn't even make honorable mention this year because he had so many injuries. But we were able to keep him alive on this play, kick that 5, and then turn the center up and the backside tackle. Back to more traditional, base blocking. The tackle here again. This is we asked him to stay on that defensive end because of his legs. He was able to get into that tackle and wash him down, even though he's a 5 technique. He does slant across his face, but if our tackle's doing what he's supposed to do, I would want him to get underneath that slant, unless that guy's just hell bent on crossing his face, which it doesn't look like he is. But in this case, we wanted our tackle to stay on that 5 because we're trying to take advantage of what he could give us. Now, if we get a little bit more on this backside linebacker, and this is one of those things when you're telling your guys to stay on this combo and just try to wash linebackers out, every now and then you get that 10-yard run where if you came off and you pinned him, you might have hit a home run. That's one of those things. What do you want to get? And we want to stay on that combo as much as possible and try to drive that guy so that linebacker's got to really bounce over top or come underneath and get himself in bad situation. This guy, found his tackle, 15 yards down the field. So we're still happy about that result. And here's dart. We ran a lot more dart last year than we did this year. So you won't see the center pull. He's blocking back on that 3 technique. So this is actually traditional, kick and climb because our center decided that he was able to get this. This is, and I've talked about this before. This guy right here is pretty good, and I don't know what year he was this year, but he's pretty good. But Trace was able to get back on him. If we had, and this was game planning, if we had number 26 lined up here, we would have gotten a dart call because 26 would just explode. If anybody played against Licking Valley, I'm forgetting his name, but he's just a horse. He's probably the best defensive player that the last 2 years in our conference. Just created havoc on all the offensive linemen and offensive line in our conference the last 2 years. So we were able to run a traditional counter there, get back on that 3 because of personnel. But later on, we'll change that because 26 is in the game. Now we've got dart here. And I think we could have very well against this team personnel run it traditional instead of running dart because of personnel issues that they have, not us. Now here's one that I was talking about. This is actually, I think, Watkins Memorial. They came and they were running 2-man fronts. With the trying to cover everybody up, play high up for whatever reason. Like I said, our best 40 was a 4.9. And we had one kid this year that ran a 4.6, but he'd never played football before, and he wasn't out there. So 4.9, and you got a guy 15 yards off the ball. So for whatever reason, they showed up in the front, and again, the expectation is solve the puzzle and let's get some yardage. So, and I don't know if you can tell there, they're in 2-3s. They're in 2-3. So we're going to get a front side combo to the linebacker. We're going to get the backside guard is going to block back on the 3, and we're going to be running dart here. He turns up in the first hole that he sees. The running back follows the tackle through. We almost hit an explosive play, but we almost put it in the end zone on this bastard front. And you look at the down and distance. I don't know if it's what is it? Whatever it is, 2nd and 30. And this is what they line up in, and we pound them on it.
Coach, you get about 3 or 4 more minutes.
Okay. And we ended up winning this game in overtime, which was a blessing. So I'm going to go ahead and stop watching film. If anybody has any questions, I'm more than willing to answer if I have that ability. Hopefully you got something out of this. The biggest thing is don't think you have to do what everybody says it's we got a new coach on our staff, and I love him, but he walks in and that ain't counter. So it doesn't matter what the hell it is. Our kids call it counter because I'm telling them it's counter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to fall into this envelope that you call counter. We're trying to put our kids in the best situation to win a football game and have success on a Friday night. Lakewood was 1-39 the last 3-4 years before I got here, and we haven't won a lot of games, but we're 6-14, so we're heading the right direction. And I think counter has got a lot to do with it, and all the things that we do off of our counter as far as the RPOs, the backfield actions that we'll do, the 2-back sets, the motions that we introduce as well. So thank you, guys.
All right, guys. So tonight we are going to talk about defensive line stunts that attack the run scheme, that can attack run schemes and protection. So, and like I said, and like Coach said, I'm Jeff Long, defensive coordinator at John Carroll University. This is my 4th year at John Carroll. First as defensive coordinator, I was the D-line coach for the last 3 years, and now coaching the secondary and working with the entire defense. So some great stuff here tonight. I'm excited, and it's great getting to hear Coach talk just before me, and loving some counter. It's always a good time. As a former old lineman, counter is a beautiful thing. So love what you were doing, Coach. So let's get rolling. A little bit about me, guys. So I graduated college in 2014, and I was a high school coach. I started out in Eastern PA at Emmaus High School. From New Jersey originally, was coaching at M.V.F.C.A High School after that when I was my first teaching job, and then began at Wilkes University up at a D3 school in Northeast PA. Had a brief, 3-4 month internship, summer internship with the Philadelphia Eagles, which has been amazing. And then now been at John Carroll ever since. So been around a little bit, and it's just been a great experience. And I love, Ohio. I found a home here, and it's really exciting, and love what you guys do as high school coaches. And in terms of the quality of play, every time I get to watch a game, whether I'm streaming it or in person, it's phenomenal. So fired up to be chatting with you guys. So really, just to give you a quick snapshot of defensively, what we're all about. The numbers speak for themselves. We've been very lucky. We've been very blessed with a phenomenal group of young men that love the game of football and want to be great at it. So they've really bought into what we're doing. We're a 4-down base, and we can get into some multiple fronts here. But really, just overall, the last 2 years, been nationally able to have a ton of success, and it all starts, quite frankly, with being able to stop the run and getting after it up front. Some of these D-line stunts are really the big portion of how we've been able to create these numbers over the last few years, specifically last season. And really the consistency now has now been over 3 years. So my first year here was in 2017, and our staff and our players have really gotten after it. And we're not a huge pressure team, guys. So we do not pressure, more than we're 30% of the time over the last 2 years. Okay, 30% pressure, and that's over 21 games. That's a long time. That's what it's all about. These stunts that you're going to see here tonight, we probably use them like the way some people use pressures. And to us, an effective D-line stunt versus the run or the pass can be just as effective as a pressure. So that's something that we believe strongly in, and the numbers now back it up that we're able to make that happen. The big thing that I want to start with, no matter what your base front is, whether you're an Okie defense, an even front, or your over/under team, even the odd stack, you want to build your stunt menu. Okay, it all starts with that base front identity. So, like I said, day one, we teach our 4-down front. We teach, whether we're setting it to the tight end, away, all that good stuff. We're, playing with your 5 techniques, 6 head up on the tight end, or sometimes a blood 9, and you're playing with that 3 and 2 eye, and you have your variants off of it, but that's your day one front that you're teaching, right? So what is that identity for you? Okay, what is that identity for your defense? And that's something to identify as you're getting into these stunts, because the stunts I'm showing you are going to be out of the 4-down, but we have ways where we can run it out of our odd stuff as well. So it's just about how do we manipulate it to get what you want. And then for us, the biggest thing I'd say, especially up front, that's led to a lot of our success, is you build your stunts into your base teaching. So our stunts, this stunts that you're going to see here, they become a part of your everyday individual work. Okay, the keys that we're going to talk about here and what guys are looking for is so important to build that into your base teaching, and always mix those into your base individual work, is mixing these stunts in. And then you really can buy in, get a ton of buy-in out of the kids and strain for the details. In terms of your fixed stunt versus your read stunt. Okay, so for us, your fixed stunt is going to be, it's happening no matter what. Okay, so out of that 4-down alignment, we can make sure that stunt is happening. Okay. Whether it's a pinch or anything like that, it's happening no matter what. Your read stunt is all is all based on a run versus pass key. Okay, that's your read stunt. So understanding that, hey, at the end of the day, what are we trying to get out of this? Those read stunts for us, that we love them versus the pass. So they're going to activate versus the pass, and it allows us to play our base front versus the run, because we're all based off that visual key. And we'll talk about that more here in a second. So read stunts are something that we really love, especially to added benefit of rushing the passer. And at the end of the day, no D-line play, it goes into all positions, but you talk about your visual key, all right, is number one. Your visual key, what is it? All right, what is it, and how is it affecting your stunt, and how is it affecting your get-off? It's got to be 100 miles an hour. It's stuff we drill every day, and now building these stunts in to your base teaching allows you to really, really focus on the little things and focus on the details. Because these stunts are great on paper, but I'll tell you right now, it is all about, holding guys accountable, making sure that we're really, really, really getting after it and paying attention to the little things, the footwork, the pad level, the get off, and you're going to see some examples of that here, okay? In terms of that stunt menu, what you're going to cover tonight, all right, we have our interior stunts, okay, ton and nut, all right, and they attack, we love those. Attacking your gap and zone run schemes. Okay, so it's a nice mix-up for your interior movements, really keep those backers clean. See a couple examples there. Your half line, so for us, it's tag and a screw. All right, so you can attack your man side of your protections with just a half line game, and those, and then also great screen and draw control. All right, because now like I said, when you have the interior stunts, those are going to be fixed stunts. They're happening no matter what. as you get into these stunts down here, your half line and full line, they're going to be your read stunts. So versus the run, you're staying put. But then on the pass set by the tackle, guard, center, you are not activating the stunt. And then your full line stunts are tornado, double tag, and brace. Now, we have more stunts throughout, our menu, but this is like what is taught during fall camp. These are the base stunts that we need to be able to run like the back of our hand. All right, so it's really important. I wanted to share that with you guys tonight. All right, so the first one is Tun. All right, and I'm sure everybody's familiar with it. Got 100 different names for it. For us, that's the 3 tech is our penetrator. All right, so we start with that 3 and 2 eye alignment for our interior linemen. Okay, and it doesn't matter if it's the tackle or the nose. All right, because these guys for our defense, they can slide. Okay, and the nose could be the 3 and the tackle could be the 2 eye. So it's keeping it nice and simple. But for us, Tun, it means 3 tech is the penetrator. All right, so the 3 tech's going first. He is king. Okay, the via the neck of the center. All right, so he's going to take a 45-degree step here. All right, really gaining ground. All right, and he's working at the V of the center's neck. If the center is away, he is going to stay tight off his rear, and he is working to opposite A before he will knife vertical. All right, find the football, rock and roll. So he's keying that via the neck. The neck's away, we're rocking and rolling. If the neck's at him, okay, let's say we're getting a block this way. Now we're going to button press, so we're getting our hands ground to target, speed to lock, and then we're shedding across face, and then we will finish in opposite A as well. All right. Now your 2 eye, your nose, we tell him to shoebox, all right, his alignment. So he's going to back himself up a hair here, about 6 inches, all right, so he can really hit this downhill. That's what this little line is for, to back yourself up, all right. And now you're hitting this downhill right tight off of his butt. You're taking a lateral step, okay, lateral step, crossover, and then we're hitting it downhill, all right, hitting it downhill. And really, your only rule as the looper here is that if you get tackled down, you got to stay underneath it, okay? You get tackled down, got to stay underneath it. So that's your basic, rules for your Tun stunt, okay? And again, it's that 3 tech is the penetrator, and it's all about keying via the neck of the center. All right, so let's take a look at some film on it here. So now you're going to take a look at the end zone. All right, we have Tun on. So the 3 tech is going to be our penetrator, and we're going to have our looper coming in here late, okay? Biggest thing I want you to watch is the footwork of the penetrator, all right? Does a really nice job making sure he's gaining ground at that 45, and he's playing with his hands. This is not a stunt, guys. This is not a stunt where you want to rip and run through, okay? Especially when you're getting face mask at you. Now here, we're getting a little bit of a condensed look, but we're able to work, bang, get hands on, and now we're straining for knockback. Knockback is everything. But what I love here is the looper. Nice and tight, okay? They're running a little, power here. And really, it's more like a split zone at the end of the day. But really, what I love is the tackle coming down, bang, we're getting hands on. We get a dent out of our end. I want you to watch the backers, though. 30 and 12 really are untouched, okay? So all these zone combos they have coming, the Tun really can cancel that stuff out, all right? And you watch with the 2 eye here, I want you to watch that guard. They're running zone left. His eyes now are completely dialed into this looper, and they're really, really, really struggling trying to pick up all this stuff going on here. And really, it's all 2 guys now taking up 4 linemen, okay? Now we'll get a look at it here to the tight end, same deal. So now you got your 3 tech as the penetrator here, all right? So to your right, going to take a really good footwork. Now they go with a little bit of their skip pulled by the guard, run their power. Again, 55, ready to rock and roll. He stays underneath that tackle down, creates knockback. We messed around and added a little blood on the tight end here. But now, again, 37, 12, completely untouched. You're keeping your backers clean. We play with some smaller, faster backers, okay? So for us, that's imperative. And being able to mix these in really, really, really could change the game in terms of attacking some of these run schemes. That tackle, he sees that 3 tech down. He thinks he's got a clean shot working his way all the way back. And now he's getting 2 fists in his face, ready to rock and roll. All right. And it changes the angles in which that an offense is going to try and run these base plays, right? When you run that even front, they get excited about the angles. And now, especially with your interior twists like this, you take that all away. All right. Now, same deal here. 61. Okay. He gets a little delayed here. What I don't like is he doesn't get hands on the center. All right. So watch. He's going to take his step a little too lateral for my liking, a little too wide. We like it to be a little more up the field at a 45. And then he's attacking hands, sternum and cuff on this center. Okay. Face mask at him, bang. And then we can button press and cross it late. But 92, the looper here is going to do a phenomenal job. Look how tight he stays. Okay, nice and easy. Boom, we get our knockback. Stay tight, stay tight. We're wrapping through. And now that zone, okay, that he's trying to wind back, thinks he's got a window, and no more. All right. So again, what we're able to do to get some of these ton stunts going, it's immensely important. Same deal here. Last one we'll see here versus the run, and we'll see a couple practice examples, a couple pass examples, because they could also be beneficial in some pass scenarios. So now here, face mask away, working the opposite A, and we're getting vertical. Now we got to finish the tackle here, but we're creating penetration, creating knockback. Okay, getting that back off of his track early. Now here, we talked about why we like it versus the run, you know, for all the reasons how it disrupts specifically these interior three, all right? But we also like it versus the pass, all right? So you can see here. Now, we got a ton on, so the 3 texted penetrators, aiming for that V of the neck. Love his hand placement. Elbows are tight. And now he's working, still working for that opposite A, so he's going to use a little bit of speed to power here, locking out. And now he's creating that knockback. 92 is going to stay nice and tight. He added in a little jab as he was working on it in his little twist game here. All right. It's a decent look at how it's going to play out, especially when they're sliding away, right? Sliding away initially, and now we're able to really create a natural pick as he's working through. Down the line, depending on the year, how good our guys get at it, how comfortable we feel, we'll turn it into a read stunt, where it could be ton or its counterpart nut. Now here, same deal. Running it at a little bit of a heads front, so a little head up here, 2 double 2s. That makes it a little more deadly as you start running that as a base front, which we do. And now here, he's reading that face mask, or excuse me, reading the V of the neck. It stays away. We're taking it now, finishing opposite A. Really nice look at it here, staying nice and tight and getting a great work in at it. So nut is your counterpart to ton, okay? So here, now your 2 eyes penetrator. Same exact rules, same visual key, all right, for that penetrator, and same rules for your looper. Got to stay inside that tackle down. Now, ton I love against your zone schemes, love against your gap schemes as well. Nut, same rules, or excuse me, same things I like it against. All right, we try to create a mismatch here, all right, and find it based on personnel. So if there's a certain side of the line that is not going to be able to deal well with the penetrator, or let's say the guard, you know, if we're running ton and the guard struggles with a guy across his face, that's where we want to run it at, right? Because now he's getting off balance. But maybe the center is more of the weak points, and now nut is where it becomes more beneficial. All right, so we'll take a look at it here. The 2 eyes up top. Again, same rules. Gets his eyes to that via the neck of the center. It's away. Now I'm knifing vertical, opposite A. Boom. Ready to rock and roll. Okay. So again, love it, especially like, you know, as a old lineman in these zones, right? You can see left guard here. He's taking his steps. Now he's winding all the way back, completely breaking the zone. And even if they make some sort of trio call, all right, like most, you know, zone teams will, they're going to make some type of sifted sort. It's still really, really tough for them to leave their eyes off their man, right? And just trust their base rules, especially when you mix it up like so. And then you're able to create some big explosive plays in the run game. All right, now here versus the pass a little bit. Versus protection. Love it versus slide away. You see here, you're working at the V of the neck, bang, speed to lock. Now getting the hand up, batting it down, creating the interception, right? It's all about creating the illusion of pressure, all right, but with the illusion of sending 5 or 6, but also now we're able to attack protections with just 4, and that's really important. Really important. Take a look at it here from the end zone. Now you got your 2-eye to, our right here. If we're looking at the screen, the defense is left. Really nice job here. Gets stoned a little bit, loses his base, but his visual key is correct. He's button and press. Look at his elbows are tight, rubbing the ribs. He's speed to lock. He's working the opposite A. And now our looper does a decent job here. Gets a little high, but stays nice and tight. Completely keeps your backers clean. Completely keeps your backers clean. See 12 here. Now he's completely unmolested. They should be zoning up to him, right? Basic inside zone. Boom, 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 boom. However their combos sort. But now we have unblocked men here. Unblocked men ready to rock and roll. Now, same thing here. You're going to see it up to our left here. I apologize. The end zone on this got a little screwed up, so I got to give you the tight wide. 2-eye to the defense's left. He's your penetrator. He gets center fold, right? So now I'd like him to get hands on, but does a great job of trying to create some penetration. And the looper here does a phenomenal job. Watch this. Inside the tackle, boom. Keeps both your backers clean, right? They're reading this cat here. Now, because your backers are clean, they can make the read, the flat action by the back. Boom, rock and roll, go make a play, right? So really the ton and nut, guys, is great for, attacking your zones, attacking your gap schemes. But what I love, about it is it empowers these two guys right here, gives them their own little special play, if you will, where they can really, they're always aggressive, but now they have a chance to create a TFL. But because of the confusion, you are also able to keep these guys clean, right? Keep these guys clean at all costs and really, mess with the angles of the offensive line, okay? Now, we're going to start getting into our read stunts here, okay? Talked about why we like those fixed stunts, a ton and nut. Your read stunts now have multiple benefits, okay? Multiple benefits. So for us, when you are in your alignments here, okay, you're still playing your base visual key, all right? So for a 3-tech and a 5-tech in our defense, 2-eye and a 5, doesn't matter. You're keying the near hip, okay? Near hip. That's your visual key, all right? Near hip. So you're nice and low, eyes are low, and now when you're coming off the ball, now you're going to aim. Your eyes are there. That's where it's going to take you. It's strange to keep your pad level down. Your hands will hit on the rise, hands above eyes, bang, all right, into those keys, right? And that's how you play, 3-tech, 2-eye, 5, playing your base blocks, okay? So it's nice and easy. Tag, all right, is the first stunt we teach, and it's always going to be to the 3-technique side, okay? So now we're still playing our key. If you get a base run at you, run away, get that key moving forward, you are going to play your B gap and you play your C gap, all right? As soon as that key retreats, now our job changes, okay? Now the stunt is activated. So tag, the 3 technique, is your penetrator, okay? And your 5 technique, excuse me, guys, is your looper, all right? And he's a delay looper. So the 3 tech, if he gets that hi-hat, he is working to jet the B gap. We call it jet. Get your head in the crease. So get your head behind the shoulder pad of the guard of the tackle. Now, common mistake that I was guilty of my first year is I was telling guys, hey, get wide, set a pick, okay? Why don't I like that? One, because if you start widening your rush, okay, you're going to widen this cat with you, all right? You're widening this cat with you, and if you slide into it, it just doesn't – we want it to hit sooner rather than later. It's more beneficial. Instead of trying to pick this guy, you can create a natural pick with penetration and get them on different levels, okay? That's the biggest thing, is you'd rather have the guard and the tackle on a different level as opposed to let me set a pick every time, all right? We'll have stunts where we can truly set a pick, but for us, jetting the B is about getting your head behind the shoulder pad of the guard and the tackle, all right? And then once you jet that B gap, all right, you'll contain through the B. So if the tackle's still setting wide for this guy, hey, now once you get your head in the crease, you can start working out to that contain, all right? If your tackle sets down, right, like let's say they're full sliding or he's setting down at you, okay, you have to make sure you are fighting across his face now, and bang, working out now. It's the only rule you have, okay? Now your looper, right, your delay looper, you on make this effective. We want him oversetting. I tell guys all the time, widen yourself out, especially in your pass rush situations. Hit it downhill. All right. Hit it downhill. I want to get 2 to 3 really great strides, 2 to 3 at minimum. All right. I want him to keep setting, get him on different levels. And then once you hit that third stride, now we can start staying nice and tight. And you'll see how it opens up for us here in the next couple clips. All right. Again, that's versus your pass read. Versus your run read, you're playing your C-gap, rocking and roll. You're right here playing a 5, bang. Or if you're, like, let's say they're running like zone read type of deal, little zone read type of deal, they're comboing up, you're still popping at the line of scrimmage, pin the hip, point it up the field, and our eyes are on the quarterback. All right, so you have those different options. And the great thing about it, guys, and especially tag here, I like the single line games, the half line games versus a ton of like tailback draw teams. Because a lot of times they do it, whether they're sidecar, they have those different alignments and tendencies when it's coming. You can run it at the back, whichever stunt you want to get to. All right, so take a look at some tag here. The first one here, watch the end zone, the 3 technique to the defense's left. They're running tag down here. You're going to see exactly why we like it. So you're getting our pass key. And this is a few years back, guys. Like I was saying, I was really into hey, let's widen this guy out. I've become more of a fan of, hey, let's get vertical, get your head in the crease on this jet. All right, and you see here, 53. All right, he doesn't do a great job. You got to keep your pads down here. All right, so you can't show me your numbers. Your rush has to look like you're a track guy coming out the gate, and you're selling it up the field to get these guys on a different level. All right, so right now he's telegraphing it a bit, but the overall essence is there in terms of the execution. Why we love it. So now you got your draw, right? So your center's climbing now after his 2 kick slides, and bang, now we're able to really, really open up some seams in that draw blocking scheme. Tailback, quarterback, don't see it coming. All right, so that's number one, why the single line games become really, really effective for us. All right, another couple examples of your tag. All right, so now here, 90. All right, I'd like him, first of all, good first step, pad level's decent. All right, then he slows himself down right here. All right, he stops. All right, he stops. You have to keep pressing this, because even if they just keep retreating, okay, you're going to open up more of a window for your looper, even if you can't always get your head in the crease. That's why we talk about head in the crease, so that get off never changes. All right, so you get your hi-hat, we got to rock and roll. The only thing I do like, all right, is he sees this tackle start to come down, and he understands his assignment. Hey, I'm contained through the B. So now I got to cross face, boom, and make sure I become that contained player. 45 here is going to do a decent job, all right? He's showing me his numbers again, though. That's the biggest thing, guys. I get on our guys all the time about it's not enough. It's not enough. You got to sell it, and that low pad levels was going to make him kick even deeper and get everybody off of different levels. But a really nice job with his footwork here. I'd like him to stay a hair tighter coming off the rear, but exactly what you'd like, especially with slide to you. Slide to you, that's exactly how you want it to look. Got to create penetration to beat your 3-man slide. Same thing here. Now this is a really good look at the jet by the 3 technique. Okay, now he's cheating the drill here. He knows it's one-on-one pass pro, all right? But you're into your twist game. What I love here, you can see getting his head in the crease. His helmet is behind the shoulder pads, getting guys on different levels. 11 showing me the numbers a little bit at the end, but watch that right there. That's a little better. This cat is really setting now. This cat's really setting now. He's like, dang, this guy's going to keep coming nice and tight, and then arriving violently, ready to rock and roll. Right? That's how fast you want to hit it. These things have to happen at full speed no matter when you run them. So whether it's an indie, pass pro, team periods, you have to hit them at full speed, all right? And that's the most important thing. Now here, a couple bad examples, all right? So now here, 49, he's going to do a decent job with his get off, but the first thing he does is shows us his numbers. Both guys do. And now here, this is a cardinal sin. You're just ripping and running, and now you have no feel of what's happening to you. Once this guy sets down to you, you've got to cross. You've got to cross his face. So now we're going to get this looper here. It's not too bad on the man side, but now we never get to contain through the B. Never get there. We get washed down, and I'm sure you guys all know just like we deal with. You got an athletic quarterback, that's out the gate. That's out the gate. So always understanding, guys, the biggest key points that, with these read stunts, it's going to be your visual key, okay? So that near hip, what is it doing? Is it run or is it pass? Low pad level and everything we do. Can't show them your numbers and get off. You don't want to telegraph it, okay? They don't know what you're about to do. Make these guys think that you're running a base rush. And when you have a base rush like that, when you're really jetting the B and you're really coming off like that, you can do some great things anyway. So it's got to mirror the same look. Now, to the 2-eye side, right, your half-line stunts, we have screw, okay? So now we're going to flip the penetrator and the looper. So here, the end, or excuse me, the 5 technique, all right, the end, anchor, whatever your names are, you're going to sell upfield, and you're going to win underneath the tackle late. So it's the same rules, only now you're knifing. Instead of the loop where you're trying to rock and roll, now you're selling hard up the field, then you're knifing underneath him late. You're trying to get him to overset past the set line, and now instead of a loop where you could cross face mask at you, here you're trying to get into that B gap, okay? It's a delay penetrator. Your 2-eye here, okay, he's going to jam and execute what we call punch control. So instead of, your normal 2-eye, 3, 5, you're coming off the ball, hat in hands, boom, we're right here, we're getting our face in our hands, right? And we're speed to lock. When you do the punch control, you're still striking, and now on block, you want to get your face out of it. So now you are locked in, okay? You are locked out, and you now have eyes for your penetrator, okay? But you've bought the guard's eyes with contact, okay? Now here, once he crosses, you see color, that's when you wipe and clear to contain. All right, so that's a screw. All right, so you have a stunt to the 3-tech side, that's a tag. Here's a screw, same rules apply. You get run action by that near hip, bang, C gap. Run action, bang, A gap. Okay, the great thing about these read stunts, guys, is offenses cannot track when you're doing them out of your base fronts unless they throw the ball, right? So you could have it called 100 times, but if they only throw it 10, you're only getting 10 called, 10 executed. So it's really important for building some tendencies there. Now let's take a look at the end zone. So now we got to the left, the defense is left again. Flip the field here. Again, another example of why we like it versus the draw. So 53 now. Doesn't sell it as far upfield as I like, but he gets the overset. Really nice job on the punch control here. All right, 92. Like him to be a hair tighter to the A gap here to play this a little more sound. See how he buys him with eyes? He sees the colors start to clear in his vision and his periph, and now he's going to stay tight to contain and end up helping out getting half a TFL there, right? So the same reason we liked these stunts versus draw, right? Screen, things like that. You're getting those pass reads because now you're creating different levels. You're creating different levels for the O-line and backs to have to navigate through when all they want to do is have you guys rush straight up the field so they can create seams. Now, when you start creating levels, it throws off their timing. Now we'll take a look at it here. Okay, to the defense's right. You're going to see it here. What I want to stress, guys, is like right here. This is a good rep, right? It's how it looks. That's why it's in here as teach tape. But I want you guys to focus on the details. Jimmy here 2 years ago led the whole OAC in sacks, right? Did some great things. Signed with the Arizona Cardinals when he was done playing. Made it through a couple mini camps. But my point is, guys, is watch his feet. Okay, he false steps and telegraphs this thing all day long. All right. We as coaches here, like I would send corrections. In practice, you send them via huddle. You have meetings about them. But to me, guys, it's when these stunts, if you really want to invest in them, you got to treat them like you do a pressure. You would correct footwork in a pressure on a long stick. You would correct all those things. Here, we get the job done, but this isn't going to get it done on Saturday. It was a seasoned tackle. This was a young pup at the time. He's now a senior for us. He's going to do some great things. He's an all-conference type player. But he was a sophomore there, and he was a puppy. So now here he's oversetting, and we haven't even gone upfield yet as the 5-tech, right? So just understand, guys, I'm not kidding when I say it's all about the details in these. The details, the details. Same thing here with our interior guy. Pops his pads straight up. That guard should know right away, way sooner than he does, okay, something's up. This guy that's been beating my tail all day literally just popped up, showed me his numbers, and now he's playing patty cake. The punch control, guys, the key to selling it is you have to – it's got to look like a run block for the first – or, run defense for the first snap or the first second of the snap. So you're striking low to high, bang, then the lock. That's where the punch control comes in. That's where you get your head out of it. It can't just be a slow, telegraphed movement. But here it's just, again, like I said, this is the basis of what's happening. But just wanted to give some good, bad examples and some different coaching points here. Now, like I said, I love the half line stunts versus your draw, especially, okay, and your screens. But these full line read stunts, okay, I love to attack protections. I love to deal with screen and draw. And it's simple because once you teach the tag and the screw, you can manipulate how you want to get these, okay, and you pair them up in different ways. So here we have Tornado. Tornado is a tag and a screw. So the 3-tech side is running their tag, same rules. And now your 2-eye side is running the screw. You could set the 3 wherever you want. And that's something, we'll talk about another time, okay, as we go through, guys. And, happy to answer questions as we go through, and after and further discussions in the future. But when you break down a team's protections, okay, and you're trying to figure out how you want to attack them, not only do you want to build your pressure menu, right, like the X amount of pressures that you're going to carry, but your stunt menu, you want to figure out, all right, what's the best way for us to attack their protection tendencies, okay? And here, whether you want the 3-tech to the back because they're sliding away from the back, or you want the 3-tech to the field because they run a ton of sprint out. So I want that jet of the B gap. And then when we get sprint, we keep this guy to the outside. We tell him, hey, if you get sprint out action, you get any lead blocker here, boom, you see the Q outside, bang. So now you can really press that point without even sending a blitzer and get the Q off of his launch point. So you have those different options, and now it allows you to be flexible and malleable with what you're doing, all right? Now, again, versus the run, you're staying put. C, B, A, C. Same visual keys, same coaching points, and you can see now why it's really easy to build these into your individual time, not only with one-on-one block reaction, but your 3-on-2 drills, your half-line drills. You can build these stunts in to those individual periods and those group works, and that's where you can manufacture your work in it, okay? Now, don't get me wrong, we'll run it a few times in team settings, like your 2-minute drills or your 4-minute drills or your red zone by game plan. But if you're saying, hey, you want these always to be up each week, that's where you work them. That's where you work them. It's incorporating your pass rush, understanding, the importance of get off and hands, and then being able to also always have them up at any time. So you're going to see here, we'll get to a little bit of the tighter view. All right, we're going to have Tornado, and this is out of the field front, right? So here, the 3-techs to the field, you get your tag happening up front. All right, 56 here. He slows himself down a hair. He's trying to get a piece of the tight end. I usually we don't have guys worrying about it, to be honest with you. Especially depending on the situation, you widen that cat out, let him really hit it downhill, right? Let him hit it downhill as that looper, so you don't even have to worry about it. But, again, by game plan, you see your jet of the B, looper late to the top, and now your screw down the bottom. Again, not a huge upfield sell, but when you got a guy like this, all right, who's hopping, okay, you can start to see it allows your defensive ends to take advantage of sloppiness by their tackle. And they know it, right? They're going against them all day, so they're able to see that. Now it's a decent punch control here by 5-0, right? We get the Q on different levels. They got the 4-man slide into the tag, and now we're getting them off his launch point. Getting them off his launch point, and we're finishing. All right, so huge benefit there. Huge benefit there. Tornado is probably our number 1 called stunt the last 3 years. All right, now, I said that we love it attacking protections. We love it against the run because we're keeping it base. But I also really do love it versus screens, and this is a couple clips why. So here, all right, you see, you're starting this pass read, so the stunt is happening. Now your jet player All right, he gets in scot-free. So now everybody starts to see now, because they're on different levels, high alert starts going off in their head. Oh, wait, what's going on? Same here. Your jet guy is probably not going to recognize it until it's too late, but you're going to see everybody else, because they're on different levels, you're slowing yourself down just a hair so that now the screen can be sniffed out. All right, so you're going to see here 53 up top's running his screw. And because of that little hesitation now, right, that little bit, now he's able to see it develop, and we're able to burst it out of the stack. Is mandatory for our defense guys, just like everybody else's, but it is mandatory, and that's the example you get. I like to think that because we're running these stunts, sometimes you get into some of these, tunnel screens, different things like that. You're now able to give us a split second where our aggression is going to be dialed back just a hair, and we're able to really, really recognize some things. Same thing up top. You're going to see it again here. So now they're running the little throwback screen, tag to the field. They get the sprint out action, so we don't get a looper anymore, right? See how they're getting the boot going? And now your punch control player, you see 50 here, doesn't get a ton of hands on, but he gets his loop a little early, able to recognize the screen. Now, that's on me. I didn't do enough ball drills that week, but allows us to really, really, really do a great job recognizing screen, recognizing draws, and doing some good things there. Now we get into some of these full line stunts, okay? We're going to take a look at how it plays versus the run, right? Because I said we love these versus the run because you're playing our base fits. You're going to see how it looks right here. So tornado's the call. And now, again, eyes dialed in, near hip for that 3-tech, near hip. They're going to run little split zone. Nice and easy. We're still striking, right? Knockback by your interiors. 45's your pup dent player, all right? We don't wrong arm here. You got dinged for this. We attack with our hands, but you can see now, if you guys looked at this and said, hey, is this stunt on? I'll bet 100 times over, there's not a coach in here, including myself, that could tell the difference between stance, alignment, all that stuff. It all looks like your base front, and now you're playing it out as base. So they don't know when it's coming, and you're able to really, really, really create some different levels to your pass rush. All right, same thing here. We're going to get a little tighter view. You can see now, you got your tag side to the 3, your looper, and now this is against a little bit of a boot pocket. He's going to go late to like a sprint out almost. So now here, get your tag side. As the looper, okay, when you're running tag, you really can cross anything, especially with slide out. You see 90 here. He's going to get that waterfall technique by the backside. And now here, he's able to rock and roll. You still get your screw up top. So now he plays into that tight end, messes with what they're looking for. Your punch control player gets to contain, and now you're able to finish it off, right? So creating different levels, and now you get the added benefit now of really breaking your sprint out protection rules, especially this is the same sprint out protection I ran in college. No, slide, reach, and then your center on back is your waterfall, okay? So now you're able to break those rules, get him on the run, do some good things there. Take a look at the tighter view here. So again, we got tornado up to the field, tag up to the field, screw to the boundary, tornado. So we get our jet. He feels tackled down on him, right? So he's crossing. 49 does a really nice job here in terms of his numbers are a tad high, right? But look how tight he stays. Nice and tight. I'd like him a hair tighter now as this guy keeps getting depth. I'd like him a hair tighter to hit this downhill, and he's getting a sack, all right? Then if you watch the screw side, the punch control is very nice here. They get slide to him. Your screw player, your penetrator does a great job getting hands-on, knifing. And now 52 does a really good job. Hands-on. Now we're nice and tight. And you're good to go. In the quarterback's grill, making him pay for it. Again, we want to find ways to rush the quarterback even when we're -1 and, in our rush. Same deal here now. So here you got the tag up top. Okay, slide to the tag now. So 44 is able to cross that, center at him. Decent job here by 55, getting hands on. Just a little bit of hands. Buys his eyes, allows your penetrator here to do a great job now getting the tackle on an island. Flushing the quarterback again off of his launch point. So imperative, guys, so imperative. Now, the next one, the next variation, we have 2 more to go, and then we'll be good to go. So, double tag. So here, you're going to run tag to both sides. I love double tag, guys. We love it in turbo front. So for us, double 3 techniques. That's when it's at its best. You can teach it out of your 3 and 2 eye. I enjoy it where this is, like, to me, double tag is one of my favorite second and long, third down. We're ready to go, and we also build it into some of our show packages and things like that. So really, it's something that's really important for us. But double tag, guys, is exactly what you think it is. You're running tag to both sides, so your rules stay the same. Okay, we'll take a look at the end zone here. Again, I told you, we like running it out of turbo so you can get those jet players hitting it right now. But maybe if you have a quicker guy that is not quick enough to start from that 2 eye and almost rock out to it, then hey, have at it. But here you're going to see how we can change up really force the back into a one-on-one on the interior is why we love it. Okay, so you see 44 here. Not enough get off for me. He's telegraphing it, but you get great get off out of the other 3. But now here, what we do get with 44 is a one-on-one on the tailback. DN on the tailback, we got to win. He's getting hands up, match the hand, force the high throw, and now we're in business. Okay? So now we're able to do those things and able to create those different seams in the protection that really put us in a good spot. All right, so now here, same deal. Game on the line. They're driving to win. What are we sticking with? We're not pressuring. We're running our stunt game because that's what we believe in. Up to the field here. All right, to the defense's right. Head in the crease. All right, I'd like him to keep staying square so we can keep working to contain. But he gets his head in the crease, gets him on different levels, and now we're opening this up. Now we're able to rock and roll. Don't ever jump like 44 does, okay? Never jump on the D-line. Just a little aside there. I hope you guys are telling your guys that too, okay? 55 here does a decent job. I'd like to happen a little sooner once he feels this tackle, cave down, wipe, and get to contain. But what do? Get him off the quarterback off his launch point, force the rush throw, right? Force the rush throw, get him out of his comfort zone, and now you're able to live to play another down. Same deal here. Now you're in your double tag, still out of the turbo, love it versus Q draw. Get a little mobile quarterback, same deal. Jetting the B. And now your end, your 5 techs, okay? Not great. Okay, I'd like him a hair wider. I'd like him down here so we can hit it more downhill, but ends up working out. It all starts with your jet players here. Get them on different levels. Q doesn't see it coming. Boom, you're rocking and rolling. Same deal here. Love it versus empty, especially, when they're trying to sift it out or they want to declare that center one way or the other. Once you get a great jet, head in the crease, nice and tight, quarterback's got to run for his life. Take one more look at it again. Love it. Like I said, can't stress enough. Love it versus empty, especially your Q draw and your scramblers. Now you're able to really, really, really give that quarterback fits. All right, now race. Okay, race for us is double screw. So now we talk about it. You got tornadoes, a tag, and a screw. Your double tags, double tag, and a race, it's double screw. All right, so now you got your delay penetrators off the edge. And now your jam punch control players on the inside. Okay, I like running this not only out of a 3 and a 2 eye, but out of double two eyes. I love it running it out of head, so double twos. You can even run it out of turbo, your double threes, and have the interiors spark inside and then work their way back out. All right. So again, all stays put versus the run. Okay. So down the bottom here, and down the bottom, you're going to see he's running his screw track. Decent job here. 50 though, he's got to get hands on. Again, he's telegraphing it. He's telegraphing at 75, just completely going. All right. But you see here down the bottom, it's a decent job. You get enough of a cell to buy the guard, and 53 does enough of a job on his rush to get the tackle deeper than he wants to be. Flush the cue off his mark. Able to create a sack. All right. Take a look at it again down the bottom. Look at the end zone here. So now really I want you to watch the rep to the boundary. Field, not so great. Okay, a little bit of hesitation there. Too wide, but down the bottom, this is pretty good. Really good get off. He's straining to stay low. He showed me numbers a little bit, but it's decisiveness, active hands. And now really the punch control is where I'm really fired up. Hands on, head out of it, boom, shed, rock and roll. Again, why do we love it? Because against the run, you're not teaching new run fits. You're playing your base techniques. So here, right, you get a little front reduction here. So now, boom, you're good to go. Execute it. Still your pup player, still able to create knockback, and able to play the quarterback as needed, right? Love those different layers that this adds in terms of being truly a read stunt, and that versus the run, you're in something that you're comfortable with, okay? Whichever front that is, it's something you're comfortable with. Same deal up top here. You're getting your hard outside zone. They're trusting their keys. The 5 technique, he's now able to press this back. Okay, we're a little high on the inside, but we're able to play through our technique, play through our visual key, and now nothing changes for us. It's all about the eyes, all about the eyes. Now here, okay, this is something I didn't even do a drawing for it, guys, because it's just something that we add in is, like you said, do you get a screw? Do you get a tag, separately, right? So in certain situations, right, if we call draw, all right, that allows these guys to pick a stunt that they're going to run. All right, so here, draw allowed these two to run a screw. Up top, though, you're going to get your base rush. So now to get some ownership, once these guys get really good at it and feel good about the technique and they understand the level of execution and attention to detail it takes, then you can allow them to have some ownership of it now. So here in draw, we gave it, to the field here. They're able to run their screw. Up top, they're running a base rush. And you see how it plays out. So now to either side, they can't track one way or the other, and they're able to do some great things there, really get after people. So, sorry, I skipped over the last slide. Let me get to that real quick. I apologize. All my contact info. So, gentlemen, wow, 45 minutes right on the dot, Coach Bandstra. I did way better than last time. I think I went almost an hour and a half last time. But really, guys, I appreciate you taking the time. Leave my contact info up here. I'll also put it in the chat. I'll add my Twitter into the chat as well. And really, guys, just it was great getting to chat with you. Now,